Okay, Loco golf fans, we are live talking CJ Cup in South Carolina. I'm Justin Jarrett. I'm joined by Wes Kerr, Brian Riedfeld, and Brady Satcha. And we've got the whole squad here. Wes is playing producer for me here and fixing up our graphics. But we're talking about the CJ Cup in South Carolina out at Congaree Golf Club. Round 3 in the books now, guys. And we were talking a little bit before we went live, and Brian, you were saying the leaderboard is shaping up to be quite a dream for the CJ group. When you look at the potential storylines there, you got Rory McIlroy, obviously, probably the best known name in the game among guys who are actually competing. Tiger Woods not included. You've got KH Lee, who's one of the Korean players. Who was exempted into the field. This is a unique event. You got John Rahm, who's clearly one of the top players in the world. And then you got, Kurt Kitayama in there, the 5'3" journeyman who's playing great golf too. But a bunch of guys who can win it. The golf course is holding up exceptionally well. It's fighting back a little bit. And Brian, talk a little bit about this leaderboard and about the golf course and the event thus far.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's definitely a no-lose situation for the CJ group, I think, right now with those names at the top. And we knew it was going to be a good leaderboard just with the field when you got 15 at the top 20. But, I mean, McIlroy, you got absolutely the face of golf at the top, and then you got another statesman with Rahm. And with all the stuff with the PGA Tour and Live, and you got two of the statements, the statement of the PGA Tour at the top. I mean, PGA Tour's got to be loving this, and of course the CJ group. But McIlroy, I mean, played his rear end off today. Didn't particularly putt the greatest today, but got it done. Tee the green, gaining over a shot and a half off the tee. Meanwhile, Rahm kind of came back down to earth after just like scorching the greens. He made over 120 something feet of putts yesterday. Gained 3.5 shots on the greens in round 2, which is bonkers. And he lost a shot and a half today and then some. So it's a good looking leaderboard, and more power to KH Lee for shooting a 5 under, kind of a quiet 5 under. Your boy, I know he's in one of your lineups, and
yes, he is.
Great pick by you there. And he's looking really good, man. And it's easy to overlook him with McIlroy and Rahm as the bookends. But man, KH Lee's right there.
Yeah, a lot of storylines. Of course, Rory is leading the way, and I mean, just how awesome it would be for us and for the CJ group and for golf in the Low Country to get a champion of a high caliber name as Rory. He can't get much bigger than McIlroy, one of the faces of the golfing world, and certainly was the big name guy when we went to media day. Rory, the defending champion of the event back in 2021, so a chance to defend his title and a chance to get back into world number 1 in the world golf rankings. Scenario if he can reclaim number 1, if Scotty Scheffler finishes no higher than the two-way tie for second and lower than solo 34th. Right now he's tied for 47th. So looking like a good possibility that Rory could ascend back up to the top, which would just be an added feather in the cap of a tournament like this to see Rory not only win it, but get back to world number 1. And I mean, a high caliber event like this. So would be awesome to see Rory win it. Certainly was a fan favorite today. And I mean, got to see 2 eagles. Absolutely just a clinical display of ball striking, especially on those 2 holes that he eagled, starting with the par 5 fourth on that front 9. Absolutely stuck it within like 3 feet of the cup. Just a phenomenal second shot. And then just an incredible drive on the 12th, that par 5 on the back 9. Set him up. He had to make a heck of a putt, 32 feet or so off the green to get that eagle, but it was all set up by that terrific drive as well. So excellent ball striking from McIlroy, looking every bit as one of the world's top players. And, he had definitely had some trouble spots, but he was kind of able to work himself out of some of those and had some adventures with a sprinkler in those last few holes. And, he just played a heck of a round. And he just one of the top ball strikers on tour, really showed it there and was excellent from tee to green. And the scary thing is if his putting could get even better, he left a couple more birdies on the table. He could have been well in control if he if he had knocked those down. So, certainly if the putting can get there to another level tomorrow and that ball striking continues, I think he will be your winner. So Rory McIlroy sitting pretty after 3 rounds, but a lot of names are right there lurking, including another potential awesome storyline in KH Lee, who with Korean descent would be a very special champion for this tournament and for the CJ group.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got our resident Ridgelander waiting in the green room. So let's get Trace Lowther in there, because he was out there today as well with the rest of us, and all of us got out to the golf course today. So that was good stuff. My first time out this week. The Palmetto Championship was great, but Congaree is special this week, isn't it? Congaree in the fall is really, really a special place. And, some of the terminology that was used on PGA Tour radio as I was listening on the drive out there, it's crispy out there, like a carport was thrown out there. I heard a couple other lines on the way back that I was wishing I could note, but I was driving and didn't want to crash my car coming back Coosahatchee way. But man, what a pretty drive back too. Really showcasing the Low Country's beauty at a time of the year when maybe people aren't quite as familiar with what it's like here. But this is the best time of year for sure. And how great was Congaree today? So Trace, your hometown that we're showing off. So talk about it first. How beautiful was that place today?
Man, just absolutely unreal. It's so cool. I was talking to Brian, and I think I mentioned it to you as well. It's just like when you come down the road and to your left and right are the places I grew up going out fishing, hunting, hanging out with friends. And then you park in the turf field, you walk across the road, and it's like you're entering a portal into a whole different place in the country. It's like, it's so wild that it's right here in my hometown. And it really does feel like you're somewhere like on the West Coast or Midwest with all the sand dunes and the elevation. And I mean, they seriously, Justin, you said it earlier, they seriously moved some dirt out there.
No kidding.
It's crazy, but I mean, just such a beautiful place. And like you said, just really showcases the beauty of the Low Country, especially in the fall. And what a beautiful day it was today. Nice and cool this morning. And then you could take your jacket off about 10:30, and a few times today it got a little warm. If you weren't in the shade, if you were out in the open in the sun, it got a little warm. But for the most part, just a beautiful day and a really awesome day to watch some just some of the best golfers in the world compete.
Yeah, I mean, perfect conditions all the way around. And,
right.
June was special last year when we had the Palmetto Championship, but I mean, you can't ask for better conditions of sunny mid 70-degree weather. I mean, just so beautiful, and been really blessed to be a part of this and watch some of the top names on the golfing stage duke it out, and just some amazing weather conditions. And really excited to do it again tomorrow. And it's going to be another sensational day weather-wise and on the course as well with the top names on the leaderboard. So, I like how you compare that, Trace. It does look like you're transformed into another part of the country with all the sand and the elevation. It doesn't feel like the Low Country, but it is the Low Country. And just a testament to all the amazing things that Congaree Golf Club has done to make this course unique and challenging to some of the best players in the world, and just a great environment to be at. And great to see so many fans here in attendance at the event here on Saturday, and got to hear a lot of roars, especially when Rory was making those 2 eagles, and then I believe we also had an ace in the event as well today. Wyndham with the hole-in-one on the 10th hole, and could hear the roars all the way over from 7 or 8. So that's always a special event when you see a hole-in-one like that. But I mean, what a amazing day for golf all the way around. And I mean, I was hoping for weather conditions like this, and the weather is absolutely delivered from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then should be again on Sunday. Absolutely gorgeous to see the final 18 holes of this fantastic tournament.
Yeah, let's break it down a little bit here. We got John Rahm, who obviously destroyed Congaree yesterday. Just absolutely put on a show, and then got a little bit humbled, especially on that front nine, and brought it back, got it to 1 under for the round, which I think, I don't want to say saves the tournament, because obviously McIlroy, KH Lee, Kitayama, that'll be a fun showdown. But to have Rahm in the mix, you almost got kind of a good guy versus bad guy heading into tomorrow. The crowd's for sure going to be behind Rory. And then you got big bad, foul mouth, Chad Rahm, who's always pissed off. It'll be interesting to watch that dynamic tomorrow.
Sorry, guys, I was having some audio issues there, so I had to jump out so I didn't mess anything up. But yeah, I jumped in on the end of that. Yes, Rahm will definitely play the villain character tomorrow to McIlroy, or could.
We were so close to that Rahm McIlroy tee time. We're not going to get it. Rahm will go in the second to last group with Taylor Moore and Aaron Wise, and McIlroy will play with KH Lee and Kurt Kitayama. I would have loved to see a Rahm McIlroy pairing, but I will take it for what we have. It's just going to be a great finish, and going to have to be maybe jump between both groups down the stretch on Sunday.
Well, the golf course lends itself to good, spectator viewing. I feel like there's a lot of places where you can be in one place and see one green and one tee, or vice versa. And it works out pretty well. And we were talking, all of us that I spoke to today among us, we're just talking about how great it is in terms of the footprint and how spacious it is, and how there are pockets of action, within, and really lends itself to really a bigger event, like a U.S. Open or a President's Cup or something along those lines. And I think that's probably what they're eyeing. But it's fantastic spectator experience this week with the thinner crowds and that spacious place. So I anticipate we'll see the crowds pick up a little bit tomorrow. I mean, I think, college football Saturday is a hard thing to compete with around here. Maybe we'll get a few more tomorrow, but there's still, I think there's going to be plenty of tickets available, right, guys? Come on out and watch golf.
How about that Clemson comeback? Cade Klubnik getting it done over Syracuse. Had to throw that in because Brian Riedfeld's a big Clemson fan, so I had to shout the Tigers there.
And the Gamecocks are destroying the Aggies right now at the end of the first quarter. So the locals are feeling good about college football Saturday. But
I heard a lot of Clemson score updates out on the golf course today. Anybody who could get service was trying to do a service to everybody else and keep them updated on the college football scores. Brian, you think we'll see a little bit of crowds tomorrow?
I think it's a good question. I don't know. Fantasy football, NFL Sunday, the South. I don't know. I mean, it did pick up pretty decently today. Yeah. I think today will probably be the most people out there, but if it's like today, that's perfectly fine. It wasn't super sparse like Thursday, Friday, but enough to at least make some roars throughout. And as long as we at least have that. I mean, there was never going to be tens of thousands of people at this event where it's located and everything else. So I think it'll be pretty decent crowd for a nice little showdown tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. And I think when you get them consolidated on the last couple of groups, when the leaders make the turn, then everybody comes back to them, then that's when you'll start to really feel it. And the roars are pretty good, though. I mean, the dirt moving has created some echoes in there that, you were texting, people were texting about a roar at 10, and you could hear them. I haven't been able to figure out yet where they're coming from because I don't know the place well enough, but you can definitely hear the roars coming up over there, and it's a pretty cool vibe when you hear one.
Oh, and on that note, like fans, because it is a thinner crowd, the fans kind of have to be a little bit careful around the greens. John Rahm about murdered somebody on hole 12 today, as well as Kitayama. But John Rahm, of course, that's the lasers. But you got to definitely have a little bit more respect for your tone and your volume out there at Congaree versus, say, Heritage at hole 16.
Yeah, it's not Sundress City, the Bermuda Shorts Triangle, where you can just be having a conversation about whatever at max volume and it's just tolerated. Definitely a little different vibe than the Heritage, to say the least. Um, Tell us about Wes. Where do you want to go next? Have you talked about all your storylines? Sorry, I dipped out for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned Rory and his opportunity to become world number one, which would once again be really cool, kind of feather in the cap of this tournament to have that one where he ascends to the top spot. But Kurt Kitayama eyeing his first tour victory, and he's been close a couple times throughout his career. And maybe this could be, I mean, we saw with Garrick Higo, and maybe this could be kind of a breakthrough opportunity for him. And 2 career runner-up finishes on tour, so maybe this is the week where he finally claims that elusive first crown. So, like what I've been seeing from him, he really held steady. I mean, he was right there with Rory McIlroy. McIlroy kind of went on top over him midway through the back 9, but Kitayama was very steady, made a couple of pars, just was hanging right around. And he continues to do so, and certainly you cannot count him out heading into Sunday's action. And just a good, consistent round for Kitayama. And sometimes people are kind of, some of those other golfers that you don't expect to be up there, sometimes they're kind of just overwhelmed by the moment and they kind of fall down. But a steady 1 under par after 2 sensational first 2 rounds, 66 and 65 and 70, putting him right in contention for this final round. So like what I've seen from Kitayama, and once again will be another excellent story alongside KH Lee, of course, for Korea. And then, of course, McIlroy, the big name, taking it to was the marquee guy when we first heard about the field. So, I mean, obviously McIlroy is going to be the fan favorite, but Jon Rahm's going to be right up there. And, I mean, a lot of Korean fans in attendance will be certainly rooting for Lee to get it done.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up, is the diversity of the gallery that there is there. There's a good amount of Asian population in the gallery, which is cool to see. It really, you mentioned the portal to a different world, Trace. It does feel like an international venue. It doesn't feel like an traditional American golf venue. It feels like it kind of had a British Open type of place or something like that. And I think you've mentioned before, Brian, that the Melbourne Sandbelt courses are very similar. So Cam Davis, is that right? Cam Davis. There's so many Cams. Cam Davis is an Aussie. So there are so many Cams, man. Popular name for the golf crowd in that generation. But yeah, not anymore. Not around here. Not around these parts. We're a PGA Tour county. Thank you very much. But anybody who may jump up and challenge here, I like Kitayama. That guy, I didn't know much about him. Listened to a lot of PGA Tour radio on the drive out and back, so I learned a lot of backstory on some guys. But Kitayama's got a pretty good resume playing overseas. He just was kind of late blooming as far as getting his card here, but he's got some nice wins, overseas, and has played at a high level over there for a while. And I gotta pull for him because he's repping the Shodies. He's like 5'3", which is amazing. So he's pretty impressive that he's hung in this far. I hope he doesn't wilt tomorrow, but I know nobody's going to be rooting for him either. They hope he's just a footnote tomorrow. Everybody's looking for Rory to do this thing.
Yeah, to step in, at the Palmetto, Higo came back from 6 shots on that final round, right. Which is kind of bonkers looking back on it. And the final winning score there was -11, and we're already at -13. But the big difference, obviously, this go around, it's not Chesson Hadley that the golfers are chasing down, right? We're talking about the best player.
Oh, poor Chessie. Poor Chessie. I wanted it for him.
I was rooting for him too.
Wow. Hey, I was pulling for one man and one man only, and he came through, baby. Garrick Higo. But I think you got to be one of these top 5 guys tomorrow And even those guys, Taylor Moore and Aaron Wise, it's going to be tough for them to catch up. It's hard to bounce over and pogo stick over John Rahm as well as McIlroy and KH Lee, who is just in the zone right now.
Yeah. Well, and here's something to think about, but like there's probably not going to be a lot of birdies out of there tomorrow, right? Especially on the back nine. Like they're trying to show the teeth. It feels like they set it up pretty tough today. I think it'll be pretty, brutal tomorrow. We'll have some carnage on the back nine. So, is it going to be do you anticipate that there'll be kind of a defensive game plan, so to speak, like a battle of attrition a little bit, and just trying to avoid mistakes and just scrape it around, make pars, and let somebody beat themselves? Or are we going to be firing at sticks tomorrow, trying to make birdies? Or it seems like the course sets itself up to sort of lull you into going for it early, because there are some gettable holes early on, especially 2 and 4, and then it's like, oh, you better stop that right now, or you're going to get smacked in the face, because it gets tough in a hurry. So what do you anticipate as far as kind of like what the game plan is tomorrow and how it flows? Anyone?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. I think it's going to be sort of a defensive battle, especially on the back nine.
Yeah.
I like to think that the tour pros kind of play their own game, but it has to be in the back of their mind the fact that Chesson Hadley blew that lead last time they were out at Congaree, and seeing Garrett Higgo come from behind. So, you gotta think that they at least have that in the back of their head, where it's kind of like, and Rory McIlroy and Jon Rahm have done this enough that they're going to know what to do. And I think that's a really good point that Brian made, that you're not, it's going to be kind of tough for some of these guys to overtake. You hate to count anyone out, especially with look at Garrett Higgo last time they were at Congaree. But at the same time, again, like you just said, you're not chasing Chesson Hadley, you're chasing Rory McIlroy, who's about to be world number 1 again, and Jon Rahm, who's been world number 1 before. And so I think the strategy is definitely going to be for those guys, business as usual, just sort of, working their way around the golf course. But again, I think you could see some of these younger guys kind of come with the nothing to lose mentality and just sort of go for it. Obviously you have something to lose. The difference between placing is quite a hefty paycheck, but for some of these guys, they've never won on the tour, so they want to get that first win.
Yeah, I think there's kind of a difference in between looking at a guy like Rory McIlroy, who, he's been in this position before. He knows how to close out big events, and maybe see a little more conservative play style from him compared to a guy like Kurt Kitayama, who's saying, like, this is an opportunity. Obviously you're 1 back, so depending on how the flow of the round goes, you might go from maybe trying to attack early to play more conservative golf. But for some of those younger guys, with the opportunity that presents itself, especially when you're a few strokes back, -10, -9, -8, you're going to want to find a way to attack and then take some chances early. So, and like you said, they have the mentality that it's possible to come from behind, because Garrett Higgo did it. Obviously, a much different situation with a guy like McIlroy versus Hadley, but it still can be done if you put up that low total early. So, we'll see what happens with some of those guys in the front of or in the back of the pack. See if they can fire out some low scores. It's definitely going to be difficult to probably have some tough pins on Sunday, and we'll have to hear more about the weather conditions in terms of the wind. That's always a factor, but it's going to be tough to come from behind, but at the same time, it's been done before. And so with that notion, you're going to see some more aggressive play from some of those guys a little farther down. But it's going to be cool to see what happens and kind of who sets the tone early on, who posts that low score, and then how some others maybe on top of that player react. So excited to see kind of the chess match and how it all plays out on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think that those early par 5s, we saw Rory just kick some ass today on those. -5 on the 3 par 5s. And so if he does that again tomorrow, it's ball game.
It's lights out. Yeah.
Yeah. But it doesn't look like too much wind, that it was kind of breezy out there early. When me and Trace were out there, and that was nice. I was hoping that was going to keep up. There were some spurts, but it was just enough to kind of keep them on their toes and make holes like 17. 17's a son of a gun. So that could get interesting coming down the stretch.
14 was the hole that really derailed Hadley last year.
Yeah.
He got in some big trouble there. Some other spots too in that back nine. So, and it kind of bit McIlroy too. And it just seems like that par 3 14th, there's not a lot of room for error on that first shot. A lot of down slopes around the greens. You have to hit precisely. And yeah, a lot of traps on that back nine. So obviously it's who can execute down the stretch. That's going to be a big part, and who can make those clutch putts. And we'll see if one of those guys can step up and tame, which should be a tough task, especially in those closing holes.
And those two closing holes are sneaky hard. Those 17 and 18 are different. The second shot into 18, I don't know if you guys just walk down the fairway of 18, even as a spectator, and you kind of just look at the grandstands and the shot, it's like, where do you land it? I mean,
it's tight. If you don't get it, if you bite off too much to the right, you have no angle in there. You've got to get the tee shot up the left a little bit to give yourself a little bit of room to bail out, because otherwise it's really tough, especially as hard as those greens are. And I got to think that with the grandstands up there, it's a really tough visual too. It just really looks like you're shooting into a bucket. I mean, it's tough. The weather does look fantastic. It'll be another Gillisonville Chamber of Commerce Day out of Congaree. I'm not sure if there's a chamber in Gillisonville, but if there is, Trace's cousins in there with their shrimp shack. Excuse me. But it should be another beautiful day, and hopefully, I mean, not too much breeze. It doesn't look like, unfortunately, Brian, like you said, it's a little toasty in the sun, pretty good in the shade. There's a real good spot if you want to go out early and just watch people go through. There's a nice shady hill right behind 8 green where you can just chill out for a good while, and it's a nice vista that you're looking at. There are some nice vistas.
I like the spot where it's right between 6, 7, 8, where you see the 6th green at par 3 7th, and then the 8th tee, so you can kind of watch 3 holes at once. So that's kind of fun. You can just look around and you're seeing golf played on 3 different holes, which is it's unique. You don't see it very often where you can have that one vantage point for 3 different spots on the golf course. So definitely, if you come early, or if you come anytime, if you just want to hang around and watch a lot of golf at once, that's the place to be. Got some video here of Congaree Golf Club. It's such a beautiful course, and what a great job that they've done now. The second tournament in 2 years that they've put on stage for the PGA Tour and the golfing world. And I got to say, I think that they've hit it out of the park once again. I mean, what a great job by Bruce Davidson and his team. Still a day left, but man, just the presentation of the course and the weather's been fantastic. But I mean, I think with all that they've done to spruce up Congaree this year, they've made a couple different changes, which we've talked about. The tee boxes have been a little bit altered, but I mean, I think everything has been done beautifully this time around, and it's made for a really fun and challenging event for some of the top players in the world. And just so excited to see how it finishes tomorrow.
I got to ask for you guys, any other interesting, we were all kind of out there today. If at some points we kind of met up, but most of us were sort of spread out watching different groups. At any point, were there any interesting situations or stories that might have arisen in the groups you guys were watching? And secondly, did anybody try any of that Korean food? Because I ate way too much of it.
Well, I did hear dad ask his son if he wanted to have any of that Tokyo food, and he declined. But no, I did have the Bobigo Korean food at media day though, and it was banging. I was like, where do I get this General Tso's chicken? This is phenomenal. It was really good. So no, I did not have any Tokyo food today.
Although I did have a funny story that I mentioned earlier with the sprinkler, Rory McIlroy's ball on 15. It kind of deflected off a sprinkler head over there, and fortunately able to make it onto the green. But it made for kind of a funny story. It nearly was a disastrous bounce right there. So it's always funny when some stuff happens like that. And thankfully, it worked out well for McIlroy on that particular hole. But you got to always take notice of what's in play.
I got to give a shout out to the PGA Tour radio guy on that, because I heard that shot on the radio, which the guys who do play-by-play on PGA Tour radio are phenomenal. The fact that you can listen to radio broadcasts of golf and actually feel like you're watching golf is just an art. But yeah, he called that out. He said he's telling us all about Rory's line and all the options he's got. And he goes, the only problem I can see is there are 2 sprinkler heads in his line. And, I don't know what he's going to do about that. And then he's like, it hits it on the second bounce. Like you could try to do that 100 times and not hit it again. You just got to hit that shot and just hope that it doesn't come into play. But shout out to the PGA Tour guy, because he called that one before the shot.
They really are the best. If I could listen to the radio and watch the PVL mute, I would do that 100% of the time. I was of course following Tyrrell Hatton around. He made a nice push on the front, got it to 10 under. I was pumped up. Tyrrell was pumped up. His shirt got even tighter. It was fantastic. He wears a shirt that's at least a half size too small. It's a
schmedium. It's a schmedium.
I love it. But then hole 9, he went wayward, got double bogey, and the Hatton show was over in terms of shooting a low score. It was now an attempt to break a club, and we got some good footage from Trace with a nice slamming of a wedge. I saw him toss a pitching wedge on 16, and I loved, as I'm leaving, I hear on the radio, Tyrrell Hatton needs some wedges to one of the PGA people. And I'm like, yeah, I can imagine that. So I hope he's getting some new ping wedges as we speak.
All right,
what about you, Brady?
Play this clip.
Brady,
I'm going to try to play this clip.
Your thoughts on the day? What do you enjoy the most about your day at Congaree?
I mean, just the views out there. It's amazing. Like Trace said, it doesn't seem like you're in Gillisonville. It seems like you just take those stairs and you're just into another dimension. I compared it to like an inland Kiowa a couple of times today with all the sand dunes. Yep. Just no views of the Atlantic Ocean, but it gives off that vibe.
Far more accessible than Kiowa, though.
Brady, I know you got a fist bump from Rory today. We were following Rory a little bit together, and Rory came by, gave Brady a fist bump. How was that? And how did you enjoy watching Rory and the other guys today?
Oh, yeah, Rory put on a show for us. I mean, it seemed like Friday's attendance was all following Rory today. Seems like half of the people that were there were following Rory because he is Rory McIlroy. He just put on a great show. He put on a great show today. Just amazing shots left and right. He had a couple of bad ones, but he bounced back, and that's why he's on top of the leaderboard right now.
Yeah, it's all about resiliency, next shot mentality, and yeah, his ball striking was just excellent. That shot he pinned a few feet from the hole for that par 5. I mean, I have not seen any shots as good as that one. I mean, absolutely nailed it perfectly. And then and then it's the second shot at par 5, not easy to do. I mean, that shows why he is an elite talent here in the sport. And to be able to do that consistently, to hit greens and to have that ball striking hole in, hole out. And he did make mistakes. Everybody certainly goes through that in a round in golf. And he showed his mettle to bounce back from those situations, especially in the back nine when he bogeyed 14. He came right back after that and went right back to it and picked up another birdie later in that round on 16. Did bogey 17. That's, as you said, that's been a tough hole, but a solid par on 18, and then with that Kitayama bogey late, he was able to have a solo lead after 54 holes. So, really impressed by his play tee to green, and the fact that his putting could even get to another level on Sunday could be really scary for the rest of the field. So, I mean, he made that big eagle putt on 12, but he has potential to make even more in the last 18 holes of this tournament. So, I mean, Rory McIlroy really showing so many tools in his bag here on Saturday and just proving why he is one of the most elite golfers in the world.
He is 44.6% to win at Data Golf. John Rahm at 23, KH Lee and Kurt Kitayama both in the 10 range. And then it drops off precipitously. So I think we can all assume that we're probably like picking McIlroy if we're picking a winner right now. But if not McIlroy, who you going with? Who else you going with? Brian's eking. He may not be going with McIlroy right now.
I keep going back and forth. Like I feel like we're overlooking. I mean, John Rahm is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's John Rahm.
Phenomenal.
He is
just one back.
Yeah, it just went back. It seems like he should be further back, and maybe that was because it was such a dicey front nine. But the guy just shot the course record 24 hours ago. There was a millisecond where it looked like he could shoot 59 because he almost jarred it on 17. So he's a better putter on Bermuda than Rory. So I don't know. I think it really is 50-50 between those two. God bless the other ones involved, but I think it's more of a coin flip than what we may be getting.
Bless their hearts, Brian. We say bless their hearts down here in the Lowco.
That's right. That's right.
So, okay, if not McIlroy or Rahm, that's a big F. Who's taking this thing?
I mean, it's a tough call. You got a couple guys right there, KH Lee, Kurt Kitayama. Really impressed by Kitayama's play, but I think Lee, with the situation where he's the Korean, I think he is motivated to perform well in a situation like this, an event like this, and he's coming off a really stellar 66. So just one back, and if he can get rolling early, I mean, watch out. I mean, he's got the talent to hang with McIlroy if he can avoid mistakes and play the golf that he's been playing all week. So I'm not going to count out Lee, and would make for a great story once again. But I mean, it's really hard to say. There's a bunch of guys at -9, -8, and still, a while back. And I just, like I said, I just don't think McIlroy has a letdown. I just don't see it. So if it's somebody else, I'm thinking it's one of those guys at -12 or -10. I don't see McIlroy being the guy who's going to have a Sunday letdown here at Congaree after all the good that he's done these last few days. So we'll see what happens, but it's looking like Rory or John Rahm, the two biggest favorites, with a couple other wild cards in there.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it is a coin flip between Rahm and McIlroy, but I think it is worth noting Tommy Fleetwood and Maverick McNeely both shooting 5 under today to get to 8 under, putting themselves kind of in a position to maybe make a run tomorrow. So, those are two guys that had really good rounds today, and I know it's hard to shoot, great scores on back-to-back days, but that they're feeling good right now and feeling confident. So those are two guys that, to look out for. Maybe if you're trying to find a way to put someone down the leaderboard in there, those are the two guys I would go with. But I really think one of those, I think anybody that's better than 10 under right now is going to win. Is going to win the tournament. And I think it's more so a coin flip between McIlroy and Rahm. But it's worth noting that you do have some names, down the leaderboard that could make a run on Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I think at -10, I think Aaron Wise, KH Lee would be a great story, but I think anybody besides those two big boys, it's Aaron Wise. He didn't have the best ball striking day today, and he's still in the mix. So I would say Aaron Wise. What do you guys think will be the winning score? We had -11 last year. We're at -13 now. What's the who brings home the CJ Cup? What's the score?
I'm gonna go Rory McIlroy at -15. I'm gonna say.
I'm thinking.
I'm gonna say.
15, 16.
Yeah, I just don't see. I mean, Rory. It would kind of be pointless for Rory to go out and try and shoot 6 under tomorrow. So just, and I think it just depends on. Rahm's going to be right in front of Rory. So I think Rory will definitely be keeping an eye on what Rahm's doing in the mix. And that might determine how aggressive he is or conservative he is. But I don't know. I think I could see 15, 16 under, and I think McIlroy's going to take it home.
See, that's where honestly, I think. Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
I was going to say whatever Rahm does in the first 4 holes is really going to set the tone, because if he goes out and shoots 3 under or 4 under on the first 4 holes, then Rory's got to come out firing, and then it gets really interesting. But if he's kind of scraping it around and he's just 1 under through 4 or something, then Rory can play a little more conservatively. So I don't know. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I think if it was just KH Lee and Kitayama and Taylor Moore, I think McIlroy would be a little bit more on the conservative, kind of slow, cruise control. But I think since it's Rahm who, shot 9 under, I think he's going to feel the need to put the pedal down. I don't. Does Rory ever not really put the hammer down when he can? I don't know. So I guess we'll see. But I agree. I think 15 under. I think that's a good call.
I like that number. Yeah. You got any data that you want to jump into, Riedveld? You dove into data golf yet?
No, that's about. I mean, we've hit kind of all of it. Pretty much the numbers match up almost exactly what Rory does well. I mean, he crushed it off the tee. Yeah. He gained over 3.5 shots tee to green, and he was just basically even on the greens. And if Rory does that tomorrow, it's ball game. It's all about if he can halfway read those greens. And again, Bermuda greens that are. I mean, y'all were out there. They were fast today. Like they were blazing. And so if he gets off, if he has a 3-putt early on, then who knows? We'll see.
There's a lot more break. There's a lot more break in those greens than it looks too. You see some holes, and if you can get kind of the right angle, and look, kind of squat down. I was kind of sitting down watching Rory at one point on 7 green. No, on 6 green. On 6 green, I was kind of sitting down watching Rory, and I looked. I'm like, I mean, that green looks impossible. I mean, it's just, it's insane.
Especially when it's that slick. I mean, they were talking about on the radio broadcast that, Rahm has a hard time adjusting when he comes back from Europe, because everything over there runs like 11 to 12. And the members at Congaree keep it running at 13.5. And then they got it cranked up into the like 14 to 15 range this week, just crazy fast. If you miss one on the edge, man, it could be 6 feet by in a blink.
Yeah, I saw Seo. He had a 24-foot putt for birdie, and he had an 11.5-foot putt for par. So, that's never good. That's like Brady Sacha out there at Pinecrest.
Yeah, and Brady and we were watching Rory's group, and Aaron Wise had a chip from the right side of 6th green. I think Wes was there too, and he chipped it, and it wasn't a bad chip. It was up into the hill, so not a bad place to miss over there on the right side. You don't leave yourself much room because of the pin placement today, but that bunker shot on the left side with the downhill slope is almost impossible to stop. So on the right side, that was the miss, and he missed there and hit it up, and it looked like it was an okay chip. It did, release past the hole and kind of started to scoot up the hill. And I was thinking, okay, that's going to kind of come back down towards the hole, maybe rest, 15 feet past the hole, and he'll have a downhill putt to save his par or to to save his par. And it just kept going, caught the ridge all the way down into the bunker. And I was just like, I mean, how do you even stop it? And then, of course, Rory gets up and puts it to 4 feet. So from the same spot. So then I was like, oh, that's how you stop it.
It's crazy. I mean, I played it for a media event for Palmetto Championship, and I mean, I was in my most holes. It was crazy hard, but it's crazy hard right now. I don't know how they got it as crispy as they did. I guess just not watering it. We did have enough hot days, but man, it was lush when we were out there for media day. It was green, and now it is not. It's really tight. People are just marveling at the fringes and how tight the fringes are. I mean, the fringes have to be faster than, a lot of greens. I mean, they are so tight. But it makes it really interesting around the green because, we're not used to on American PGA Tour courses seeing that much putting from, well off the green. You're getting like 65-yard putts and stuff like that.
Yes.
The creativity required is definitely a little different. So it's been fun, and tomorrow's going to be amazing. Do we have any other fun stuff that was overheard at the Congaree yesterday? Any good ones?
Yeah, I had some good ones throughout the day. A lot of them involving Rory McIlroy on that eagle on the par 5 12th. He hit his tee shot 376 yards, and it almost went off the foot of the caddy of Billy Horschel. It was hit that hard because hit that far because Horschel was hitting his second shot, and the ball just crept up to him, Rory's drive, and I heard someone say, I think you know who that one was who hit that shot. And it's sure enough, it was Rory McIlroy. And I mean, what an amazing drive, 376, and set him up for that eagle. But man, that was, I mean, he's got some power, and his ball striking was on point, and that was kind of a funny exchange. And yeah, I mean, you love to hear those overheard the Heritage, or this overheard Congaree, but we had some good ones at the Heritage too. But
you get some real good ones at the Heritage.
Well, I had
any others?
I was following Jordan Spieth today early on, which I don't know why I was doing that, but I was following Jordan Spieth early on when I got there, and he was on. He'd hit his drive on number 3, and it was a good drive. Just left the green, was going to leave himself a solid shot in, a lot of green to work with, and it hit the tripod for the TrackMan and kicked left behind a tree. And Spieth walks up, and you know how animated he is, so he's not afraid to say something. He's not necessarily as animated as one Tyrrell Hatton, but he's still pretty animated. And so he walks up and he's like, "Man, I don't want to be rude, but can you guys move this thing so the guys behind me don't have to deal with this?" and he was giving the volunteers a little bit of a tough time because the tripod kind of put him in a bad spot, but poor Spieth didn't have it going today.
Been rough. Anybody else hear any good ones? I did have I heard a welcome to Ridgeland, but I wasn't sure what it was in response to, but I could only imagine. It was probably a good one. I did actually bump into some friends. I didn't realize who they were until after the fact, but heard a woman, yell at Rory, and he kind of turned back and gave her a little wave. I acknowledged that, hey, I saw that. I saw you get the wave from him, and then I realized it was somebody I knew. So that was pretty funny. And I was trying to think. I had one other one earlier that I was.
I've got one for you, Rietfeld. Rory McIlroy off the tee, went a little to the right, and somebody said, "Shake it off." And from the crowd, I heard the power of Taylor Swift, because it is a Taylor Swift album release weekend. I know how much you are a fan of her music, Brian.
I appreciate you bringing that up. And if Rahm really wants to get in the zone and try to hunt down Mr. Rahm, he will put on some beats or whatever he has and put on a little T Swift to get pumped up for tomorrow.
Not the new record though. That's not going to get you pumped up, I don't think.
Hey,
It's a
she
little-
drops a few F-bombs on the new one. She's a
She
little fired
does.
up in
She
there.
does. Those are the best songs, the ones where she drops the F-bombs. I'll grant you that. But listen to it today on the way. I don't know where going to Buford for softball. Not that impressed. We can do better. We can do better.
Give it time. Give it time.
Yeah, I'll give it a couple more spins. But any other overheard at Congaree? Oh, I did hear some encouraging words. I always get a kick out of people who've had a few drinks and are spectating a golf tournament who like to encourage the pro golfers, with things like, hey, good job, boys. Keep it up. I just always get a kick out of that. Like Rory McIlroy needs a little motivation from the drunk Ridgelander. But yeah, it's good times. It's all in good fun. And you can definitely, you're right, Rebuild. You got to be careful what you say because the sound carries out there and there's not a lot of people around to look around at if somebody hears you say something that you wish you didn't, because it's pretty sparse. So should be fun. Any final picks and predictions? I guess we already said kind of what the winning score, but let's put a record. Who you got and what's the score? Wes, you got the first crack.
Yeah, I know I picked Fitzpatrick, but I mean, you can't. You got to go with Rory McIlroy. I don't doubt his ability to close this out. And, I agree with you. I think Rahm is going to have a big say in what happens, what the final scores are. But I think it's going to be a battle out there. I think we could see a Rory John Rahm playoff would be the dream on Sunday. But I think McIlroy gets it done. I think Rahm gives chase, but I'm thinking around that 16, 17 under range is what will be the final winning score for McIlroy in a close tournament. So I expect Rory to get it done. I just think he's striking the ball so well. I don't think he wavers from that on Sunday, and I think he makes a couple clutch putts to seal.
Brady, who you got, man?
If it's not Rory or Rahm,
no, you can pick whoever you want right now. Who's gonna win the tournament tomorrow?
Kitayama.
Kitayama, all right.
Love it.
Shorties for the shorties. All right. Riedfeld, who you got, man?
I'll go with the bad guy here. I'll go Rahm. He gets the flat stick back. I'm going back and forth. I'll probably wake up and think McIlroy, but I'm saying Rahm gets the putter going tomorrow. He wins it at 15 or 16.
You're gonna hedge, aren't you? You're gonna bet them both. Trace Lowther, who you got?
I'm sticking to my Friday pick. I didn't get to come on for any preview shows or anything, so I didn't get to pick on Thursday. But I did pick him on Friday, which is not that fair because he was in the lead after Friday. So I'm not going to claim that. I'm not going to claim that.
This is so Justin Jarrett of you. This is such a Justin Jarrett move right here. Go ahead. Who, Trace? Who did you pick on Friday?
I'm going Rory McIlroy, baby. 15 under. Rory McIlroy holds off the field and takes the dub. And grievance to Brian Riedfeld.
First of all,
Classic.
I do not claim to have picked anything. Everything I know about picking anything from golf, I only do based on what you tell me to pick. So that's actually no. The DraftKings lineup I did based on your tips is not doing as hot as the one that I just pulled out of thin air. So I got lucky on that one. But I still did take your research into account. I didn't make a pre-tournament pick, so I'm not going to try to claim to have made one.
I didn't either.
I just hope both teams have fun. I just hope both teams have fun. And no, I'm kind of with you, Brian. I feel like Rahm is going to play spoiler tomorrow. I think he's going to go out and make some birdies and put the pressure on. And I don't know if Rory can make enough putts to get it done if he gets hot again. So could definitely go either way. But I think I'm going to go with Rahm as of right now. Going into tomorrow. So, and I think 16 probably does it.
I think if Rahm wins, it's going to have to be at least 16 because I think
so too.
Yeah,
I think it's either Rory at 15 or Rom at 16. It's
I
kind of
agree.
where I am. So
Let's hope for Wes's call on a little Rob McIlroy playoff.
Oh,
man, that would be.
Down. Let's go.
And there won't be but us 5 and about 4 more people out there watching it, so it'll be amazing. Everybody else will have headed back to wherever you
have to
you
worry
gotta leave
about
early to
running
get there
from
Gilson,
18 to 17, like in the Heritage where you got to run all the way from between holes when you have those long extended playoffs. Maybe you don't have to worry about that too much this time.
Yeah, no doubt. So it should be fun, guys. Thank you so much. It was a tremendous day of golf at Congaree, definitely showcasing that place, and what a special. We got kind of a yin and yang now with Harbor Town being the the last of the old school PGA Tour stops, and now we got this new unique piece of land that is really just really special. It's a great place for tournament golf, and I think we're going to see many more great events here, of different stripes over the years. But I've enjoyed this one. It's going to be fun tomorrow, and we'll be back tomorrow night to round up the final round and let you know who won the CJ Cup in South Carolina at Congaree Golf Club. So for this one, that is going to do it. Thanks so much to Wes Kerr, Brady Sasha, Trace Lowther, and Brian Riedfeld. We'll be back tomorrow night. Thanks to everybody who listened or watched. We'll see you tomorrow night. Until next time, go Lowco.